I on?
You're on now.
Okay, so why is it like last week there was like nobody? It was like dead. And then this week we have like a whole crew out there.
I don't know. Maybe we're cooler now.
We're cooler now?
Last week.
Yeah, was it raining last week? Because I feel like
think so.
oh, okay, because it's beautiful out there today. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do freaking YouTube. It's nice out. I'll go play. But here I am because I love you all, my adoring fans. I don't know if I'd go that far that they're adoring fans, but hey, you tune in and I appreciate that. Come check to the store. Shop hops going on. Lots of good stuff going on. It's been fun. Yay! And today we're gonna make a table runner because it's that time of year. It's wedding season,
Oh,
right?
I don't know.
I was told this because I have to go. Okay.
It's probably like wedding season in New England
Yeah, because everybody wants to get married in the fall.
Yeah.
I only know this because I went to pick up my suit because I have to go do a wedding because Sarah has friends, and one of her friends is getting married, and somehow so I had to become a Dudist priest, and I had to get a suit for it, and I'm getting picked up. There's like a ton of people, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, it's wedding season." So that's how I know we're in wedding season. And if people know you're crafty, they're like, you have to like make like gifts. But if you're like me, you don't really want to spend a lot of time making a gift for somebody you don't really know, or maybe don't really like, but you're at their wedding. This is really bad. But anyway, I think I've covered this before, but I'm going to cover it today because it's a really quick, easy way to do a table runner. They come out really cool. They're great for Christmas gifts too. And you can do them with scraps. It doesn't take a whole lot. And they're, like I said, really quick to whip up. And when you give them to somebody, they're like, oh my gosh, that's so wonderful. You spent so much time on it. And as long as they haven't watched this video, they won't know that you're like, I don't want to waste any time making you a real quilt. I don't even know you, so here's a table runner. That's the intro to today's project. Yes, the weather is gorgeous here. That's one of the things. We have we have community guidelines. I'm like looking at my phone and there's like a thing from YouTube. I was like, did I break the law? Breaking the law. Anyway, so this is a 60-degree ruler. A lot of you probably have this from when you did the Tula Pink. What was that quilt called? Nebula. You're gonna have a very similar ruler, if not this ruler, but it has. The 60-degree rulers comes in a couple different shapes and sizes. I'm gonna show you how this one works, and you could probably adapt that Nebula ruler if you don't have one of these to do the same table runner. And like I said, this is quick, this is easy, and it's one of my favorite things to do. In fact, I'm making my. So I talked Sarah out of painting the bedroom. We bought a new house, and Sarah wanted to paint the bedroom black, and I was like, "You sure about that, hon?" So instead of black, she went with gray. So small wins. So now I'm making so I thought I would make a table runner that maybe she'll like, because the last quilt I made for her, she told me why would she want to put that in our house, and I was very sad that she didn't appreciate the fine work that I did. But so what you need to do to make this table runner, I did some pre-cooking as they do on the shows. You ever watch like the cooking shows and then like pull the buns out from underneath? Look, I just pulled it out of the oven. It's like, how is that possible? So you need 3 strips. Now, there's actually a pattern out there you can buy for this, and I can't remember what it's called. And it was like a $10 or $15 pattern. It was all the rage a few years back, and I'm like, how did somebody turn that into a pattern? And they were using border stripes. So this technique was originally came up with for like a border stripe, which this works really well for a border strip. Just more of a pain in the butt to cut because you have to cut 2 strips exactly alike. So rather than do that, all I did was I made 2 strip sets exactly alike. 1, 2. Just like that, right? Whoa. And I used 2.5-inch strips. You could, and you definitely, if you're not going to use a border strip, you have to use a couple strips because when I start putting this together, you're going to see that the strips kind of make it interesting. If you did this with solid fabric, it'd be kind of plain. But I guess if you make like a candle mat or something, it would be cool too. And once you see how this is done, you'd be like, oh, there's a bunch of different things you can do with this. So I'm just going to get to it, right?
Yeah. What's the candle mat?
It's a mat you put a candle on, just like it sounds. It's like a mug rug except for candles. It's not a rug, it's a mat. You don't have candle mats in your house, Eddie?
I don't think
Why are you laughing?
I don't think I've ever seen a candle mat.
You've never seen a candle mat? Well, okay. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, okay.
We've had patterns for candle mats in here before.
I see
All right,
that.
go to the overhead.
Okay, one second. No.
So you're going to take. I got to slow down. It's only 4 minutes in. This is going to be done. This is going to be done in 5 minutes. So we have to go slow. So you take your strip or your strip sets. Like I said, if you do this with a border stripe, you're just going to cut. I'm using three 2.5 inch strips, so this is 6.5. Your border stripe can be as wide as you need it to be. Just keep in mind, this is a 12-inch ruler, so whatever you do for a strip set can't be bigger than 12 inches. But this is half of the runner. So if I've got a 6.5 inch here, 6.5 times 2, after seam allowances is 12 inches. So it'll be 12 inches wide because I'm starting with 6 inches. So these are going to be the 2 halves of our runner. I'm going to put them right sides together. Right? So far so good?
I think so.
You want to line them up pretty decently. Yeah, this is nice fabric around this. This is like this is the Ruby Star. Was it Fireflies?
Yeah.
I think is what it's called.
And there's fireflies on it.
It has fireflies on it. Hence the name Fireflies. So all I'm gonna do now. Why is this? Do I want to take the seam allowance? I can't remember. Do I take the seam allowance? Yeah, I do take the seam allowance off. What you have to do is you're gonna make 2 cuts on this end. You're gonna cut once. Because you got to cut your salvage off, so that cuts the salvage off. Now with my ruler, I'm lining this top bit up there because that, I believe, if I remember, hope I'm remembering this right. That's my seam allowance, so I want to make sure that I give myself my seam allowance up there. And then I'm just going to cut this. And I'm cutting backwards because I'm trying to demo this for you, and I should just go to the other side of there. So I'm going to cut that off of this end here. Now it's important that you have a good cut here. As I struggle with this. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is set this aside. These are important. And then I'm going to come over here on this end and do the exact same thing. Now it's important that I turn this over. Reason being is, you'll see here in just, wait, do I want to turn that over, Eddie?
I'm not the.
Hold on a second. I'm having a brain cramp. No, you don't want to turn it over. I'll show you here in just a minute what you have to look for. You want to do it in the same direction. Yes. And you'll see why here in just a second. And you're just going to do the same thing on this end. Now, if you wanted to, you could measure stuff and all that. I'm just cutting off the salvages. And like I said, if you had a border stripe, you just do the same thing. Just drop it on there. I'm keeping the top of that off. Is it showing up on the screen all right?
I think so.
And I'm just going to go there and there. Oh, look at that. Got it first try. And then take these out. Like that. Oh, I forgot to tell you which one's going to be the middle. I meant to put the white on. Oh, whatever. So now, you'll notice, if I fold this in half, you can, well, no. Both ends, can you see this whole thing? If you fold it in half, you see how both these ends are angled the same direction?
Yeah.
That's important. You want to make sure when you're cutting off the ends that you do that. That's why I was having a brain cramp there for a second. That's got to be the same. And the other thing I forgot to say is whatever is the longer portion, like the black, that's going to be the outside of my runner. So if I wanted the white to be on the outside, I should have flipped everything around. So far, so good?
I think so.
See, John made a table runner for the last wedding they went to. Now the question is, John, did you like who you made it for? All right, so, let me back on me.
Yep.
So you can see that that's angled the same way, and the white's going to be the center. If I wanted the black to be the center, I should have cut it in the opposite direction. So we're going to go from light to dark on this one. And now, I'm going to just show you, if you want to go back overhead, here's the magic of this. So we're going to take those triangles we cut off the end. Oh, I did this all messed up. I got to cut them again. Yeah, I've got to cut them again because, well, you could do this. You have to cut 2 triangles because you see they're supposed to go like this, but then I just remembered that
That might look cool.
it might look cool. You do have to do it twice. That's why you have to start with like a full thing. I'm glad you guys are all watching this. You can see how to do this. But the second cut will be a lot easier. You know why? Because we don't have to cut once. Instead of trying to cut backwards, I'll just line it up and cut it the right direction. And I'm going to do is this. And the only reason I have to cut... So the black's going to be on the outside now.
So you only had to cut once before.
No, you have to cut twice because you need the triangles.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you're doing it with a border strip and it's symmetrical strips, you won't run into this problem. Do you get what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah. Well,
Because-
I figured it out.
Yeah, I'll show you here in just a second what I'm saying. See, so I thought we were going to be done in 10 minutes, but you see, y'all get to struggle through this with me. And we're just going to cut this side off now. Do the same thing. Make sure we're lined up, kind of. And do the same thing. Now, if you do border strips, which is what this pattern is originally intended for, you only have to cut one set of triangles because if a border strip, if you cut it properly, is symmetrical. Unless it's directional, then you've got to cut it twice. But anyway, you'll see here in just a second what I'm talking about. And now we just put the white on the outside. Because you see, the longer side is always on the outside. Okay, so now watch what happens. We might have to cut this again because I think I want the white on the outside. So these are the ones I just cut off. Where are we at? Okay, so these are the ones I just cut off. We don't want those. We want the first set we cut off because watch what happens when we add them to the ends. Okay, struggle bus. See, look at that. Isn't that precious? And if we just sew. So we had to cut the second set of triangles to get the angle right. And so I guess we're going to have white on the outside, unless I want to cut another set of triangles, which is just going to bring it down to this size here.
I mean, eventually it'll be the candle mat. You keep cutting it.
It would be. Okay, so John makes up a. Okay, so John made a quilt for the first wedding, and only a table runner for the second wedding.
Does that mean at the
Third wedding, they're getting a candle mat. What's the etiquette on that? Like, how many times are you allowed to get married and still get like wedding presents?
I don't know.
And like in this case, like if, like say it's one of the bride or the groom's second wedding, but it's the other one's first wedding. Does the one where it's the first wedding, they kind of get shafted because everybody's kind of like, oh, the other one's already got all the presents from the first time they got married. Why am I going to give them more presents?
Well, they got, there's like two sides.
So the family that's from the side that hasn't been married before, they're the ones that give all the presents. The family from the side that's been married before, you're lucky if they show up. Anyway, we're being bad today. What camera am I on? Okay. So anyway, did you do an overhead shot? Can I see what this looks like?
Yeah.
So we're just gonna sew the two halves together real quick. And while we do this, I'm going to talk about, we had talked about Mexican aliens last week, and I did a little research because I knew there was something to this whole thing. And so, the Mexican, have you seen the Mexican alien?
I've seen a picture of it.
Yeah, it's like a paper mache alien. like somebody went to a birthday party and there's like a pinata of an alien and they're like, hey, let's go give this to the government and make a thing. So what it is there's this guy that says that he found some aliens in a cave, like these ancient aliens in Peru. And he brought it before the Mexican government. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. We have proof. And la-di-da-da-da, right? And, would you know it? They're really good specimens. Everything lines up. Did you know this?
What does it line up with?
Well, let me just tell you the story. The guy that brought these aliens out, this is the third time he's brought aliens out. They're all remarkably similar to the first time he brought aliens out. So the first set of aliens he brought out, they did some x-rays, and they're like, well, those finger joints are kind of sus. And it's like, oh, dang it, you guys caught me. So what does he do? He brings out another set of aliens and fixes the finger joints. So the second set, oh, these must be real aliens. The finger joints are right. And they look, nope, rib cage is off. Dang it, you guys caught me again. Well, wouldn't you know, on the third try, the ribs and the fingers are right. Yeah, it's quite remarkable. And you would think that you've made the discovery of the century, right? And you would want all scientists to look at it and to test and to comment and say what a wonderful thing this is, right? Well, it turns out, even with the approval of the government that was so excited about this, it costs money to, he charges you to run tests on it. So if you want to x-ray it, you want to do some sort of DNA sample or whatever, it's going to cost. So all of you that were excited about Mexican aliens, I hate to say it, but I'm thinking this one might not be. Okay, so I fell down the alien hole. Okay, and there's another one. I have to find this because I heard it in an interview and I'm like, this can't be the true. I have to look this one up. Have you heard about the Nordic alien in, is it Kentucky? Okay. So I'm listening to this guy talk about aliens. He's like, yeah, I research you. He's like, I really research UFOs. He said, I don't believe half of it. He said, but every now and then I run across something that is so bizarre that it's like they can't be making it up. And so he recounts the story of this interview of this woman. I think it was in Kentucky, somewhere in the Midwest. It was like Kentucky or Illinois or something. I want to say Kentucky. And she swears that she went on a date with a Nordic alien, and, you know, the alien got himself some nookie, and then he ran off. And she's like, and he tried to do the brain wipe thing on me, but she says, I still remember. And, like, she's got this whole convoluted story about how, like, after they had, you know, made love, as it were, he decided he needed to go home, and he didn't have any Earth money, so she bought him an Uber because he didn't have any Earth money because he's an alien. And then apparently the Uber driver was just driving down the road, and then the alien randomly jumps out and runs through a cornfield. I'm listening to this and I'm like, really? That's what you think is a credible alien story? But now I want to look it up because it's just like, that's a great story. It makes no sense to me. And why would somebody tell that story? So yeah, I have to look that one up. But I think aliens are fascinating. So this one I'm listening to, you got all into, because you know, you all know about the Greys, right? The Grey aliens.
Yeah.
This is where I would learn something very interesting. Turns out the Grey aliens probably aren't really aliens. There is a theory, and this isn't the crazy-haired ancient astronaut, ancient alien theory. This is like a, I didn't heat this up. That's why, like, when you watch the alien autopsy video, it's so awful. Because according to this theory, oh, here, let me hold this up so you can see this before. I got to iron this out, but, oh, I'm like, why is the camera over there? That's what half of this looks like. Makes sense? All we did is we took those triangles, zipped it here and here. I'm going to iron this out, and you can see here, same thing. And I think I'm going to have to do some trimming because of, I left too big of a. So anyway, back to the alien theory, the Greys, right? So this guy, this is a crazy rabbit hole. So apparently, the Nordic alien that this woman was referring to, they think may have actually been what they call a tall white. Because tall whites are the real aliens. The Greys are actually like they're fake aliens. Like they're like 3D printed aliens. Like they're some sort of like a Blade Runner like replicant that they use to pilot their crafts, but they're not the real aliens. They're like a biological like android type thing. And that's why we always see Greys, but we never see the whites, because the whites are like the king aliens and the Greys are just kind of like the servants. Right? Have you heard this theory?
No.
Yeah, so that's the theory. Apparently there's like a whole bunch of different like aliens. Like I said, you've got the Greys, you've got the Nordics, you've got the tall whites. And I wasn't sure when I was listening to this if the tall whites and the Nordics are the same thing. Because apparently tall whites can pass for human with enough makeup and proper clothes. They just look tall and skinny. Kind of like my brother back in the day. So maybe Bradley's a tall white, we just don't know it.
John asked if the lady had a baby with big eyes and a pointy head as a result of her date.
I don't know. Like I said, this was like a secondhand account, like I have to hunt this down. This was one of those weird ones that I just ran across, and I didn't have time to really hunt it down. And then the other thing is, I wouldn't even know where to begin to look to find out more about this. It's like some guy said some guy, and okay, here's another great story. I'm just repeating all the crap I listened to, right? So, was it Jackie Gleason? Okay, we got some older folks that watch this. Who's the guy that did the Honeymooners? Was it Jackie Gleason? That was Jackie Gleason, right? Apparently, I think it was Jackie. Apparently, he was good friends with Richard Nixon. You know, they're like golfing buddies or something. And late one night, about midnight, Nixon calls up Gleason. He's like, "You got to get over here and check this out." And so Nixon and Gleason get together, and apparently Nixon showed, according to Gleason's wife, because his wife says, yeah, he came home and he was all white, and he's like, they're real, and they've been here. And then, and this is the part, no, this is why urban legends are awesome. And so apparently Nixon showed Gleason the reality of UFOs and aliens, because then he went and made a house that looked like a UFO. And he built himself a UFO house, a flying saucer house. Like, no joke. Like, that's like legit. So if you ask, so if you're like on the internet and you run across a picture of his house and you think to yourself, why did an aging movie star just decide to make a UFO house one day? It's because his buddy, the president, called him up and showed him the reality of aliens. I don't know where these stories start, and sometimes I wonder how true are they. Because I just picture that, this old guy just, one night he's getting ready, he gets a phone call late at night, and it's the president on the other end. Jackie, you got to get down here and see this. And he's like, well, it's the president. I better go check it out. And he's probably like, had a couple scotches and he's a little tipsy, and they go out and go to like the hangar and see a UFO together. How do you explain that when you get home the next day? Like, so now I'm wondering. So he comes home and his wife's like, she's like, they're real. Is that not the perfect cover? Like, if you were like out for a night on the town and you don't want to get in trouble with your wife, like if I got home late one night or I come home in the morning and Sarah's like, where you been all night? And I'm like, the president called me and we looked at UFOs.
It checks out.
It checks out. Would you argue with that? I mean, because that is so ludicrous that you're like, why would he make that up? Anyway. So all I did was I just trimmed this here because it needed to be straight. I hope you're all enjoying this tonight. I'm like I said, I just fell down that whole Mexican alien thing. And let me tell you, that was hard to research. You put Mexican aliens into Google, you run up to all sorts of weirdness. You get like a crash course in asylum laws and whatever the latest stuff going on at the border. They don't think, you got to put UFOs in there somewhere. And then a picture, you ever see the picture of that kid that like oh gosh, they call him like the Mexican werewolf kid?
No.
He shows up in a couple of those Google searches. And I screwed up on this. I'm going to have to ease this in. So, or I'm just going to show you guys half of this runner because I screwed up and I think it slid on me. So my halves aren't completely even. But I think I can ease it in. You've never seen the Mexican werewolf kid?
No, I just looked him up.
Yeah, he's got like some weird genetic disease where he's like, looks like a baby Chewbacca. Yeah, he shows up if you look up Mexican alien too sometimes. I mean, because that would be kind of rough if you look like that kid.
Yeah. Like,
you're so out of the mainstream. Like, you feel bad for him on some level. But then on another level, like, if he played his cards right, he'd never be without a job.
Yeah.
That's awful to say. Okay. So I had to ease this in a little bit because my sides weren't perfectly even. But there, see how easy that was? We did that talking about aliens the whole time and not paying any attention, and it still came out all right. You can kind of see my issues. Is that what you're saying? Let me iron it if you're gonna pick on it. Yeah. So there you go, Eddie. When you get married, or if you get married, and you get a and you get a table and you get a table runner. I hope you don't think my dad doesn't love me anymore. All right, here we go. See, doesn't it look better? See, what happened is one of my sides, because I wasn't paying attention when I cut them even, really, it's a little bit longer there. But as long as your outside rings line up, you can't really tell. So this is what, like I said, you can do this with, you could do it with 4 strips. You could do 1.5 strips and do more of them. The only thing that limits you on this is your strips can't be more than 12 inches because you got to be able to fit it under your ruler to get your angles right. And so you could make this a lot fatter. So if you did 2 12-inch strips, that'd be 24 inches wide. So you could almost do like a Christmas wreath medallion type thing if you wanted to. You could work your way down, just work your way down the strips, and every 6 triangles, because you only need 6 triangles, because what's 360 divided?
By 6.
Yeah.
This is 60.
Well, what's 360 divided by 6? Is
60 degrees.
Yeah, so you need 6 of these, and that's how you would make a candle mat. Is it over? Do you got an overhead shot on that? Yeah. So you can see I'm missing the 2 to do this, but if I'd worked my way down the strip, I could have made like 2 or 3 of these alternating. I could have alternated so that there's some on the inside, some on the outside, and then you could take these and use these as a block in a quilt if you wanted to. But you saw how easy it was to create these triangles. You just worked on a 2 identical strips. You could use the same strip, because what you would run into is if this was the same strip and you were alternating, what you would get is as you alternated, you would just get every other one would give you the shape you need. But you want to do 2 strips to do a table runner, because otherwise you're not going to have enough length to actually have a table runner of any size. But that's all there is to it. And like I said, if you do like a border strip, which what this was originally look at me now, not this. If you do a border strip, which this was originally intended for, you don't need to cut 2 triangles, because if you center the border print that you're on and it's symmetrical, the 2 ends it'll all come together as long as everything looks right. But that's all there is to it. It's a quick, easy way to make a quick table runner. But like I said, you could have some more fun with these triangles, and it just creates that really neat idea. And it really comes out neat. You can get some really cool looking blocks if you do like an 1.5-inch strip or a 1-inch strip. If you make your strips really narrow and and you start lining them up, it really gives it a neat effect. But you can see with the 3 how it kind of creates a kind of a fun look. And then
Rhonda asked if you iron the center seam open.
I probably should have. I just ironed it. Yeah, you would want to iron it open. You would probably want to iron it open to get it to sit flatter. The other thing that you would want to do as well is, the other thing you could also do to get better results, if you're going over top, is you're going to iron, when you iron your strip set, everything gets ironed in one direction, and you may want to, you could iron the seams open to avoid this, or after you cut your triangles, repress the seams in the opposite direction, so that when you lay it on your strip set to sew it, those seams lock in. Because you're going to be right on top of each other, or iron your strip sets in opposite directions, and then flop the triangles to the other ones, so that the seams are opposite when you, so they lock in. I didn't do that on this, and you can kind of tell if you look at my points. Am I still overhead?
Yeah.
You see my points.
Yeah.
But, if you get this at your wedding, did I love you enough to line the points up? If you're my friend and you get this at your wedding, it's not you, it's your spouse. How's that sound? But yeah, no, that's all there is to it. That's just a quick, easy table runner. You can do a variety of ways that, like I said, really works well, especially with Christmas border prints. These make great Christmas table runners. You can throw them together really quick. You want a quick Halloween table runner, same thing. Or if you want to make a little like Halloween bucket placemat thing, same idea. You could just cut a bunch of triangles out with your 60 degree and make a little mat for it. And there's a bunch of variations on it. After you've seen it done, it's like, oh, that's all there is to it, and it's wicked easy to do. A lot of fun. Any other questions?
I don't think so.
Yeah, like Gene says, yeah, you should press it open, but that's why I love the comment section, so that the proper technique can be illustrated to those that watch this. Because you ever watch YouTube and like they pretend to be an expert,
Yeah.
and then you realize, wow, that guy was way off. So if we just start out the gate that I'm doing it all wrong, do you think that alienates some people? Or like, oh, let me learn how to put stuff together improperly, or the whole "don't try this at home" thing? Maybe we should start doing the disclaimer. Quilting professionals, don't try this at home. Anyway, it's a lot of fun, really quick and easy. Like I said, it's a great gift. You saw I threw that together in the half hour here, just yapping. I had the 3 sets already cut or sewn, but you know how quick and easy it is to sew a strip set. Little bit more, I don't say time consuming, but it takes a little bit more time cutting if you're gonna fussy cut a border stripe for it. But even that's not too bad. You could knock a bunch of these out in an hour. It's a fun, easy, and then if I wanted to quilt this, you could pillowcase it. There's a couple different ways you could go about it, but it's a quick, easy finish. Do some stitch in the ditch, and then go to the wedding and say, "Here, we love you. Happy nuptials." Maybe throw a $50 bill in with it, just so you don't feel like a complete dirtbag. Anyway, I think that's all we got. But like I said, Shop Hop's on. Come check it out. Check us out online if you. This is, like I said, this is the. What did I say it was? It's the Firefly collection from Ruby Star. Wow, I'm losing it. And there's a couple of. There's actually a teal one that goes with it as well. There's a teal Firefly instead of a gray. I just thought the gray looked nice, that kind of graduation colors. Anyway, that's all I got. Thanks for joining us. Did you zoom in?
Good.
I'm good. I can bring us out.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. So on, and be excellent to each other.